Yeah, great opening gambit for our night tonight. If you are joining us for the first time with Ultimate Pool, this is the Champions League. We are into the second stage now. All four of these players came through the group stages, played fantastically well in doing so. And now it's a group again. 4 players here tonight: Shane Thompson, Shaun Chipperfield, Gareth Potts and Sean Storey. Only one can advance to the final 4. They'll do it by playing a series of round-robin matches. Everyone will play each other. 2 points for a win, 1 for a draw. Top of the group at the end of the night will go through to the last 4. We are playing English 8-ball pool to international rules. Pick your colour set, pot your balls, then pot the 8-ball, win the match. It's a race to 4 or 0 on the clock, whichever one does come first. 20 minutes are on the match clock, which has come into play plenty of times throughout this tournament already. The one thing you wouldn't say with a player like Shaun Chipperfield is it doesn't tend to come into play very much for him. He's only been to a 6-red shootout individually once, which really is a testament to how quickly he plays. His matches simply don't run long enough to be a consideration.
He'll be disappointed with the start though. He wanted to cannon the yellow full ball and then he would have been in between the 2 awkward reds on the table. Now he's made them more awkward and no great ammunition to get to certainly the one lowest down the table. The one above the 8-ball probably goes right corner, certainly left centre, right centre, but he's going to have to come up with a good shot somewhere.
Well, we talked about it in the first portion of the show. One thing we don't usually associate with Shaun Chipperfield is game management, clock management, that sort of thing. But it's not to say that he doesn't have it. He plays so quickly, he so often doesn't need it.
Well,
but we saw in the Champions League,
yeah,
he is very, very cerebral about how he approaches the game out there.
I think he is with his all-round game, and it's not a surprise. Again, he was targeting the yellow and he got the red.
That's not terrible news for him, although I think he's off angle a little bit. He can pop this red, it's very thin if he wanted to now. Issue is he could pop the one above the black, but he's going north of the table, which doesn't really help him unless he wants to play some properly naughty pool.
It'll be tempting to, because you've dug this deep, you're going to have to come up with something.
Double?
In the centre as well, would you believe it? It's close.
Oh, it wasn't far away.
Yeah, just to quickly finish off on what we were saying with Shaun, he plays so quickly that you can be forgiven for thinking that he's just an all-out attacking dasher and it's kind of just fast and furious, but actually he's so much more than that. He's such a clever player. So it wasn't a surprise to see him have the clock management side of it and the clever nature of the way he was able to manage the clock, because he's so clever with the rest of his game.
Shane Thompson doesn't need any introduction if you've been following the Ultimate Pool journey over the last few years. He has won more tournaments than just about anybody else. 4 Ultimate Pool Pro Series titles.
Key shot for him. Slightly off angle plant, negotiates that. Maybe a touch too straight to get good position on the next ball. Might be just about okay. Just enough angle the right way, so pretty much put it wherever he wanted. And now he just has to kind of mind his work, really. We saw Shane in year 1 really elevate himself right up to the top of the game. 2.5 years ago, finished the first season with Ultimate Pool as the number 1. He's gone on to win 4 Pro Series titles, and it's down to the nature of that cue ball and patterns. Brilliant touch around the table.
Yeah, few have better.
Pretty sure the 8-ball goes left centre, so no real issues here. There you go, clearly goes.
As so many Shane Thompson visits to the table do, it ends in a really, really simple 8-ball. That's what the best players in the world do.
Now he's got that one, he'll feel so much better. It's almost better than making a break clearance in a way. Well, you heard it. This is a sledgehammer from Shaun.
Yeah, and quite often when you run aground and you make a big mistake in a visit, it does tend to multiply, and you don't necessarily get the rewards from something the players like to call the pool gods. But Shaun Chipperfield broke beautifully there, deserved a ball, got one, and has a great chance to level the scores at 1-1.
The first layout was a great split that needed one cannon to make it simple. This one's just a great split. There's no real work involved. It's just about the route. Which one's he leaving for the 8 ball? Just comes round to double check. He wants to make sure he's not sliding down and leaving an awkward angle. Somewhere near the break line is perfect. Just float behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, that's pretty perfect. Pretty good response. In this game you do have to have a very short memory.
Cue ball close to the top right hand corner as we look once again. And once again it's dry.
Shano's going to have a tough night if he's going to continue to break dry. He's done nothing wrong with these 2 breaks so far. He's controlled the cue ball beautifully. Good split, good contact.
Yeah, you saw it straight away. You knew he'd come across it just enough to lose that cue ball. Power's still there. Nothing dropping for him, so
3rd frame in a row. Shaun Chipperfield gets first chance.
But the trickiest layout of the 3. I say the trickiest layout. If the yellow goes top right, does the rest go? Do the 2 together go at the bottom? In fact, he's taking so long, maybe not.
Shaun Story keeping a watchful eye on this one. Struggled to find a bigger sort of student of the game than Shaun Story. Loves his pull. I tell you, that's a great shot from Chippy. How much side did he put on that to check that up?
Yeah, and that tells us the yellows were awkward at the top of the table and the bottoms. The reds are certainly the colour set then. It's just about landing.
These 2 on the right together though.
The reason the reds looked so awkward was these 2 on the right, but he's landed nicely between the 2 of them. If he can deal with them back to back. The question is, yeah, he might get rid of it. He had a quick look as he was walking around there. I was going to say the one in the triangle area surprisingly could become a slightly awkward ball, and if he's straight enough on it now, he'd love to pull it back to where it is now and then play the one up the cushion. He was just off the wrong way, which is why he's had to sort of not come all the way back because he'd been going into the red.
Big shot coming up if he takes the one on the right side. Doesn't need to do anything with the cue ball, can just float it in, pocket weight. Doesn't want it. We'll go again.
Which means getting back to it is going to be tricky. I thought he was still going to take it there, because if it goes in, he's going to win the frame. If it doesn't, then I mean, the more of the answer, more the question is, can he get better on it than he was previously?
Well, can pick his angle here. He's got to play this very well.
He's also got to mind where the cue ball finishes, because the 8 ball doesn't go bottom left. So if he lands awkward, it might be tricky for him to get on it in another pocket. Maybe left centre if he can screw straight back down. What angle is he going to leave himself? Well, the angle's good. He can get on the 8 ball wherever he wants, really.
It's a pretty good shot, that, from Shaun Chipperfield.
One more half a turn, it would have been lovely.
Floats it down, very good. Super stuff from Chippy, 2-1 in front. Players who have simply not played a shot on open table. White ball sent careering around the cushions, but it stays up. And another presentable first opportunity for Shaun Chipperfield.
Yeah, and that won't make Shane feel any better, because that was worse hit than both of his breaks, yet the reward is significant. Looks like a really easy chance, but the yellow right in the middle of the table just looks a bit awkward. He's having a little look. I wonder whether he's having a little look to see whether the red next to the 8 ball squeezes in the bottom left, in which case you could make a case for reds, although the first pot would be thin and possibly losing the white. But the yellow right in the middle of the table is tricky to solve. That's why he's tried to play into it.
I tell him might be on it.
If that goes in the middle, it's ideal. It's absolutely ideal. I don't think he ever really looked to see whether it went in that middle. He's come to check now, because he was actually playing the cannon into the yellow, not the 8 ball. Touch. You heard him tut the minute he hit that. He got the line all wrong. I believe he was just trying to float by the red and get on it, play the tight positional shot, but a couple of kisses on the reds and he's come out absolutely perfect.
You know what I was saying before about how Shane just has to keep focused, just do his own thing, and the rest will take care of itself. Moments like that make it much more difficult.
I really do. That's the hardest part of this game, is you have to sit there and take punishment.
Shaun Chipperfield 3-1 in front. If he'd have taken his first opportunity, this would be over already. Shane moves to the cut break. 8 ball was tracking. Won't quite have the legs. Don't think it quite had the line either, but I tell you what, that is about as well as you can hit one of these.
Yeah, he'll take this result. He might stick with the cut break for a little while now after this one.
Yeah, look at this for a split.
You could easily go both colour sets here. One of those where if somebody said to you, oh, you're going to have to take the worst colour set here, you'd be like, okay, you know. But yellows are the ones.
Oh, that's a big miss. A big miss. And Shane Thompson puts his cue down and knows that's probably going to cost him the match.
Well, looking at the replay, on main camera I thought he had a few options there, but looking on replay he can be a touch annoyed that he didn't have a better leave actually. He didn't have an easy pot on, whether it was reds or yellows. That wasn't an easy opener. You still expected him to get it, of course.
Oh, he'll be devastated. He's
former number 1 player, but
yeah.
He would have wanted it to be a little bit easier starter to then pick your route.
More than anything, I think it's the pace that he was forced to play it. I think if he plays that shot again, but with 75% less pace, it just floats in. But it had to really punch it, stun across. That's what's cost him in the end. He did not miss it by much.
So a chance for Shaun just to run these out. He's in absolutely perfect position now. It's all just connections galore here.
Well, sometimes it almost feels like certain players will almost have their name ready to go through to the next round. Like matches like these, Shaun's made, you know, a mistake in it, and it really swung the match in a sense, you feel like. But then he gets all the chances.
That's it, a mistake apiece, you'd say, but 4-1 victory.
Shaun Chipperfield wins the first match of the night, 4-1, and he is into top spot in the Champions League group stage number 3.